Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here, welcome back to Final Fantasy XVI. Thank you so much for joining me here on stream. Hey Kieran, congratulations on being first. Ditsanil, good to see you. Ash, thank you so much for coming by. Thank you for the frog. We are here at the end of the game. We are finally going to finish the game. Today, it is our 11th stream of this game. Last time we finished all the side quests. And we finished Clive's Wall of Memories aside from the item that we get from doing all the Chronolith trials. So we're pretty much all set to go. I'm going to keep my same gear set and ability setup that I had at the end of the last stream. And we're going to go right into it. And then I'll have time to collect my thoughts and talk about what I like about this game. Because it's been a really enjoyable ride. It's been a really, really enjoyable ride. Hey, Felix, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, we wrapped up pretty much everything last time. We talked to everyone in the hideaway, cleared out all the side quests, bought everything that we need. So, we are traveling to the Origin, and I estimate it's about a 3-hour shot from here to the end of the game, based on what I've seen other people do. So, let's get going. I'm excited. Oh look, everyone's here. I see Eloise, I see Quentin.
Oh, and while you're at it, Clive, if you see me dad up there, tell him we were right to leave his legacy with you.
Tell him he'll be in the front row. There's no way he'd miss this. Well, behave yourself, Mid.
We'll see.
Oh, Dion.
So, you're in charge now, Gav.
And what does Taya have to say about that? Come back before she finds out, eh?
Thank you, Yote. I'm sorry.
Your Grace, I shall pray for your safe return.
That's kind of you. But you should pray he took his medicine. I didn't spend all night grinding herbs for his lordship to leave them on his nightstand. Again.
You needn't fear, Lady Taya. And thank you.
See that your brother comes back in one piece. Or, at most, two. Any more and you can heal him yourself.
I'll keep that in mind.
You wanna hug me, Tarya?
Well, there's nothing to say that hasn't already been said. But that's never stopped me before, so just you do what needs doing. And don't worry about us.
We'll do our best, Uncle.
That we will.
If that is all?
Not quite. Jill.
It's time, isn't it?
It is. Take care of him.
What? I'm not taking Torgal? I thought it was just a given that he goes with me wherever I go.
You take care of her too, boy.
Aw.
Don't forget, Clive. We all choose our own path. Believe in yours. I do.
I'll be back. I promise. I love you, Jill.
I know. I love you too.
Now, we have a god to kill.
They just jumped not knowing if the transformation would work. They said there was a chance that Dion would transform, or unable to transform, or transform and lose his mind and go berserk. They didn't rehearse that. Hey CB, welcome to the stream.
Here they come. Hold on, Joshua. Already am.
How did you dodge all those? You're huge, Bahamut.
He's going to make us a way in.
Hey Sai, welcome to the stream.
So, this is Origin.
A far cry from heaven.
Where it all began, where it all begins, our ark, your architect.
There you are.
It was here that we slumbered, here that we waited for centuries, clinging to our decrepit shell, for fear that we might have need of it once again. But you have come at last. And now we shall be truly complete.
Well,
There's 3 of us, and 1 of him.
Oh. Are we gonna go straight into battling Ultima? I thought there'd be like a dungeon first.
Dominance. We will show you what it means to suffer.
Oh, okay, we're all 3 of us, okay. don't know how to feel about this. I mean, I know there's more, but also, Ultima Prime just being a blue Ifrit with a single wing, that's so boring.
And you only surrendered, this unpleasantness could have been avoided.
It's like a real Dragon Ball Z battle in here. His little oh.
Now, Father, it is done.
Aw, Dion. Oh, now do I actually get to go through a dungeon?
Clive! Clive! No. Thank the Founder.
Hey Yusanoha, welcome to the stream.
Did I mention you look terrible?
That makes two of us.
Oh, I'll be alright.
And Dion. Take my hand.
I told you, I'll be...
Come on.
Thank you.
Press on.
Always.
Well, good, I'm in control. Oh yes, and also thank you for the reminder. We do have new emotes now on the channel. I tweeted about them yesterday, and I saw people using them on other channels and stuff. Yes, there's more Kirby emotes, including one new animated emote for all of you guys, so I hope you guys enjoy that. Okay, we'll just slowly trudge towards the light.
I'm sorry about Dion.
Don't be. Please. He did what he had to do.
And it's time we did the same. Should we stop?
Because of the cough. No, I think we're past that, Clive.
I suppose we are.
That light, so cold. So empty. We're close, aren't we?
It, seems that way. But I don't want to think what could be waiting for us in there.
Then think instead of those waiting for us at home. Clive.
They can't be.
But they are. This is the Nexus. A wellspring of life. Yours and ours. As we watch the world stumble slowly to its dark end, it was here we pledged a new beginning. And now, with the ether we have harvested, I shall raise my kin from their eternal slumber. That together we may usher in a new age of reason.
This was never about creation. Only self-preservation.
Hey Hikaru, welcome to the stream.
You condemned an entire world so that you alone might escape death.
Alone. Him. Alone. Clive. I think I understand. He...
They sacrificed their flesh to become beating hearts of crystal that pumped the land's lifeblood from the depths of the earth unto this very chamber. And thus would they labor still, long after their work was done, had you not set them free.
You meant for us to destroy the mother crystals. It's what you wanted all along.
You have our gratitude, Mythos. In this you have served us well. You have both served us well.
Couldn't you have destroyed them yourself, Ultima?
Welcome home, brother.
I mean, I know there's like a plot reason why you probably couldn't, but...
I thought it was me, but it wasn't my grasp that grew weaker. It was theirs that grew stronger.
Ew, gross.
Joshua! No!
And now we can become one.
Okay, so that's why when he sealed the one away, it wasn't the other one that he sealed. Great, now he's gonna have like 12 hands.
Clive. Don't speak. Shh. The one possessed of the destructive flames of Ifrit and the healing flames of the Phoenix. This, I once believed, would be Ultima's true form. But I was wrong. I see it now. Why you will never become Ultima's vessel.
I don't care. Just hold on.
Listen to me, Clive. You remember the murals? People once knew that Ultima was their god. That he created them. And they worshipped him, prayed to him, looked to him for guidance.
In vain.
In vain. For he did not listen, did not acknowledge our will, and so we strayed from his path to forge one of our own. So absorbed was he in his own desires, so driven by his own will alone, that he shunned the one thing that could have made him truly powerful. Faith. The same faith people now place in you. Faith that you will fulfill their dream, Sid's dream, of creating a better world for us. Faith that you will follow in Father's footsteps and save those who need saving most. Faith that you will answer Jill's plea to save yourself. The difference is, Clive, that you chose to listen, and that is what has steeled our bonds. Bonds that helped you stand firm when Ultima's pull was at its strongest. His power may be absolute, but so is ours. And so will yours be. With my light in your heart, not even a god might stop us.
Joshua! Don't do it, you'll...
Enough, Clive. My body is too far gone. If the wound does not take me, the curse will.
It's nice of Ultima to sit back and let us do this.
I have always been proud to call you my shield. But now, is the world that needs you. Thank you, Clive, for being my brother.
Joshua. Look at me, Joshua. Open your eyes! Open your eyes, Damien! Why? Why did you do this? Joshua! Joshua!
And thus does the final piece fall into place.
Oh, you got uglier.
The incantation primed, but one task remains. To empty the vessel.
Ultima looks like... He looks like a Garlean or something from FF14.
Still here. With me to the end.
Even now, you would deny the inevitable.
As we always have. And always will. On this, my sword, I swear, to shield the Firebird's flame forevermore.
He looks a little bit like Nail Deus Darnus.
Too slow.
You know nothing is magic.
Nice try.
This is the work of mind.
Too slow.
Perhaps this will bring it you.
Oh yeah, I can still do the Girder Claw on him. He is a low HP bar, which means that this is definitely not the last phase.
This moment in which I might revel in my creation, only to find it profaned, and so it must be cleansed. Unexpected. How is it that your will yet endures?
Because it's not so easily broken.
Because I have a lot of potions.
But it can be broken. And I shall see it so. For such is my will.
Try it. Too slow. Nice try.
Behold.
Nice try. Nice try.
Eat a point blank laser, idiot.
Force feeds these flames. I sense more here than mere will. Is this Logos? Have you truly become free? No, I forbid it. You are not a god. You are but flesh and bone. You are not one of us. I created you, all of you. And what is mine is mine to destroy.
Once, perhaps. But we are no longer yours. Our flames are our own, and they burn as one!
Ifrit power up!
Have you learned nothing? Damned is the slave who returns the scourge upon his master.
I don't remember how to use all of my skills. Oh right, light speed is X. Ow. I'm still relearning my controls! I shouldn't charge right back in after that one. Dodge again. Dodge again. Oh wait, he went for a fourth one. That's not fair. Can't see a thing. Oh, where'd he go? Sometimes it's hard to see if I'm even getting hit by things, because even when I dodge, it's just like bright lights galore. Eat this! Like what am I dodging exactly? Oh. I'm supposed to press the attack, but he's on the offensive. Eat this. Ow. Ow! Stop it! Stop knocking me away, asshole! I'm not gonna be able to finish this in time. Oh god. Oh, that was so close.
Might consume mine.
Hey Dev, welcome to the stream! You stop doing this move? I'm going blind just looking at it. I mean, it was still fun.
No.
But
No. No.
my eyes.
Inviolable. Something is wrong.
You're afraid. You always have been. From the moment the Blight exposed what you were, weak, you conceived us to prove otherwise. But the results shook you to the core. For in us you saw yourself, and realized we had the potential to be more than you could ever be. And so you turned your back on your creation. Your back on the world, like the coward you are.
You think you know me? You know nothing, Logos. Nothing.
Look at their silly poses that they're striking. They're like doing like JoJo poses as they come out. Is it gonna turn uglier? Okay, the mask is better. The mask is slightly better.
My rebirth complete. And you, for your defiance, shall pay the proper price. An eternity of anguish.
Anguish. Pain. Suffering. You have known none of these. But we have. So we know what they grant. They bring us together. And that makes us strong.
Thunder roar! My will be done.
Oh, he's using my primal attacks. Ow. Ow, ow, stop it.
Petulant child.
Ow, let go of me. I hope this works.
Defy this.
Oh, that sucks. Once you get hit by the first one of the Cataclysm, all the other ones basically hit you. Okay, I need to wait till my Giga Flare's back on cooldown before I stagger him. Ow! See you later, Sir Felix. Howay! Come on, let's JoJo this guy.
Get him out, Clive!
Hey Hakaze, welcome to the stream. Can you stop using Exaflare? It makes it hard for me to get close to you so I can beat you with my sword. Don't move. Oh, I'm trying to see if I can get closer to him with during Exaflare. It doesn't really work. That took out a good chunk.
That's my boy!
That's my boy!
darkness, unending.
You think you can Zantetsuken my Zantetsuken?
Onward, my son. No, mine is the altar at which you pray. Mine are the eyes that look down upon you all.
Oh no, he learned how to limit break.
And yet still you cannot see. You are no better than us. We are one and the same.
Great, now he's gonna have different moves for me to learn. Hey Lord, welcome to the stream. Yeah, a very dramatic looking enemy for a side quest. Ow. Yeah, I get to Garuda leash him. Great. Only Barnabas wouldn't let me Garuda leash him. Okay, so what do I do about this? Okay, okay. Very fair, very fair. Ah. Thanks for calling Kirby.
sure of your place atop the world, you refuse to acknowledge those below. You chose to remain alone. And so you shunned the one thing that could have made you stronger. You pushed away the hands that could have raised you higher.
I do not need you, or anyone.
And that is where we are different. I could not have made it here on my own. I carry with me the hopes and dreams of my brothers, my sisters. And it is they who will give me the strength to end your reign.
I cannot end.
Will he let me Giga Flare him here? Eat laser! Well, this is the final fantasy!
The only fantasy here is yours. And we shall be its final witness.
Oh, he said it! Sort of.
I said...
Yeah, punch him!
Over!
Oh my gosh, it's like... it's like Endwalker. Yeah, the 99999. I don't know, I feel like the victory screen kind of ruins it. It looks like he repaired the hole in his chest. Ew, your nails! Ew, they're so gross. Trim those things, man. You're the ultimate god, you can't even trim your nails? Idiot. Yeah, back to old fish eyes here.
Tell me, what do you imagine will befall this world now that you have gained your precious freedom?
I honestly don't know. But I doubt it will be pretty. A sorry tale of sin and suffering, hardship and pain.
And it was for this that you fought so fiercely? Why?
It's who we are. We fight. We survive. We endure. We don't need a reason. We are imperfect creatures. When we stumble, we reach for a shoulder to lean on. When we fall, we stand back up. We see the horizon, ever out of reach, and still we march on. Certain the answers lie just beyond it. Because that is our way.
My congratulations. Relish this victory, knowing that you have but delayed the inevitable. Your world is already dead. May you enjoy an eternity on its blackened husk.
Don't look at me so close. Get away from my face. I thought I'd have so much more to do. I thought there was gonna be like a dungeon leading up to the final boss fight or something like that. I didn't think I'd finish everything so quickly today. I like seeing them as kids. Ew, Mother's there. Don't light my hair on fire, Joshua. Oh, the little wink. Wink back. Wink back. His tiny little hand. The Phoenix downing him? Come on, do what Cloud Strife couldn't do.
It seems Ultima's power was too great for this vessel all along. But while I have it,
Oh, he took off his gauntlet.
Perhaps I can use it to set things right. And see Ultima's legacy. Bearers, dominance, crystals, magic. Consigned to the flames. Even if it means the end of me. These are our terms.
Yeah. Good thing no one's below this. I think we're hovering over the giant crater thing, so we're fine. Also, everyone that was already in, like, the Crystal Dominion that got, like, destroyed along with the raising of this is already dead, unfortunately. We just... Look at those waves. It looks so good. Look at the sand. Thanks for the stretch, Kieran. Oh, Edda's baby!
Aren't you the most beautiful thing? He is, isn't he? What are you gonna call him?
Let me see, let me see. Ah, read little one. Got a smile for your Uncle Gav.
Not so loud, you bird.
What? I was only...
Shh, you're scaring him. It's all right.
Oh.
That red dot I've been looking at this entire game. It went out.
A sky of scattered
It represented Clive this whole time.
If you need a rest, I can take him. I'll hold you to that.
The world's yours now. chose to do with as you please. That's what Sid wanted. That's what they both wanted.
And thus did our journey end.
月明かり柳が揺れる私はロボの粒で思い馳せるあなたの姿羊を数えるように別れゆく意味があるならせめて悲しまないで父島から離れた空へ一筋の愛を込めてどんな夜だって失い続けたって共に生きてきたろ瞬くように何かを求めて月を見ていた嵐に怯える私の前に現れたのがあなたでよかったまるで何もかもがなかったかのようにこの日は消えたりしないきっとその窓を風が叩けばわずかに開け放してただ一つそうただ一つ語り得ぬ声で叫ぶ生まれ変わったとして思い出せなくだって見つけてみせるだろうあなたの姿
They didn't show Blackthorn. Of all the Hideaway members, they forgot Blackthorn. Music? Oh, there we go. Hey, Sunflower. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Please go check out Sunflower when you get a chance. We are going through the credits of FF16 right now, and then we'll talk about the game. Hope you had a good stream. Make yourselves comfortable, and then we'll talk a little bit afterwards. Thank you for coming by. Hey Jason, welcome to the stream. really is like sitting through the end of like a Marvel movie, you know, with the amount of credits and the different song changes. Not that I mind, I'm just feels like I'm sitting at the movie theater. Okay, we're almost there. There's the logos. For the stretch.
Every time.
Will you light it?
Yes, Mother. Come on. If only I had the flames of an icon.
Icon? Have you been reading that silly story again? Magic belongs in fairy tales, and fairy tales don't boil kettles. You see? Well done. Now, be a good lad and play with your brother until supper.
Come on, hurry, hurry!
Little doggo.
Right, let's play the saint in the secretary. No, I don't want to be Madu. What do you want to play then? War of the Icons! Again? Oh, right. And I get to be a freak. Right, I'm the older brother. Because Bahamut says so.
The dog's name is Bahamut. Where one journey ends, you get a trophy. New Game Plus is now available from the title screen. This option allows you to start a new game with player and item data carried over from a previously completed playthrough. The gameplay mode, Final Fantasy, is also now available for use exclusively with New Game Plus, which is like the hard mode. The Final Fantasy gameplay mode offers the following: increased enemy strength, an increased player level cap, level 100, new gear and items, mode exclusive content. This mode is recommended for players who wish to test their limits. There we go. Thank you for sitting with me patiently during the credits. I think those were like the longest credits I've ever sat through, video game or movie alike. But it was nice. It was a good chance to like gather my thoughts and stuff. So let's take some time and let's talk about this game in general. I have a lot of things to say. So maybe I'll start again by reiterating what I said at the very beginning of the playthrough, like when I first started this game. Oh, thanks for summoning Kirby. I'll talk about like my thoughts on Final Fantasy like as a series, and then what this game I think means for the series. Like I've said this before, but you know, most people when they think of JRPGs, because I'm a big JRPG fan, but most people when they think of JRPGs, the first one that comes to mind is Final Fantasy as a series. And you know, I think that's understandable because Final Fantasy is like one of the biggest names. Are they the best example of JRPGs? My opinion, I don't think so, and I don't think they ever have been. I think most mainline Final Fantasy games are kind of mid. I think a lot of times people really hype them up because it was maybe their first entry point into a lot of things. Like FF7 was a big thing for a lot of people, it was a big entry point for a lot of people, which is understandable. Now, that's to say, like, I do like Final Fantasy games, but they've never, for the most part, they've never been like the top of my list. Like, I really like 14, but I think 14 is an exception because it's an MMO and there's a lot of moving parts to it. I like 4 and 6, but I would consider, like, they're still the retro Final Fantasy, so, like, my standards for judging those ones are a little bit different. A lot of people really like 10, and I think 10 was rather mid. Like, I don't think it was a bad game, but it didn't capture me like it captured a lot of people. And you guys know I'm not a really big fan of 12 or 15. I actually really like 7 Remake, but I don't think it's fair to judge it just yet because it's a remake and also because it's an incomplete game. But I did really enjoy 7 Remake. That being said, I really like this game. I think this game sets a new standard for where I think Final Fantasy should be sitting. And, you know, it is created by Creative Business Unit 3, which is the division of Square Enix that also worked on Final Fantasy XIV. You know, our favorite people like Yoshi P and Soken and Koji Fox worked on this game. So obviously I like 14, so a lot of things in 16 I will really enjoy. I think, like, overall, the setting was really nice. I like, a lot of people were worried that they were taking it back to like a medieval looking setting without all the technology and stuff. Ever since 7 came out, it's been moving more in like a sci-fi direction. And a lot of people really like that. And I've been kind of getting tired of it. I'd like to see a return to like original medieval fantasy with still some, you know, anime and Final Fantasy influence. It doesn't need to be like, you know, completely like old medieval, but I like the step they went, especially when it came to the character design. I like all their outfits, and I like how all their outfits really fit into the world. Like, I'm not a big fan of, like, you know, suddenly someone comes out with like bikini armor that doesn't fit in the setting because we all know it's fan service, right? Or someone comes out with like the super flamboyant colors that no one else has and just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Everyone, I think, felt very homogenous in terms of like, they all look like they belong together in this game. They all look like they belong in the same setting. They all have, even if they don't have the same color scheme, they all still kind of live in the same area of the color spectrum hue that makes them still all look like they go together. And I think that's something that a lot of games now don't do quite as well as they used to, in my opinion. I think the world that they've crafted was very interesting. There was a lot of interesting lore, and I like how they had the active time lore. There are a couple things from the active time lore I wish were implemented a bit more smoothly into the main plot. Like, there are a few topics where if I did not read about them in the active time lore, then things might not have made as much sense right away. So I kind of wish that, like, certain things were explained a little bit more explicitly without making you need to go back and, like, read up about them. I do like that the lore was updated very consistently, and I do like that the lore was, like, it stuck to what you need to know. Even like the extraneous information was still like tangentially related to what you need to know, so it wasn't like you were going on complete tangents reading on things. Battle system, definitely the strong point of the game. The battle system was fun. I know a lot of people were worried going into this game that it was like a full action battle system and not a turn-based battle system, but let's be honest, Final Fantasy has not really been about turn-based battles in a while. It's like pseudo turn-based, right? Like the type of, it's like action, but they mask it with some turn-based commands, but it's still kind of action. So I think a lot of people were worried about this one coming out and saying it was just action, but I think that was completely unfounded. I can definitely see if you are not used to playing games like this, you would definitely have some difficulty, but that's why they include some of those easy mode accessories, like the one that makes you automatically dodge everything all the time, right? Or the one that makes you combo automatically all the time. So there is accessibility there, which I like, because they know that some people are more concerned about getting through the story and learning about the story and not so much about doing the action game. So I think that was a good move, having that, instead of having like an easy, normal, hard mode at the beginning. just having, I mean, most Final Fantasy games just start off with 1 difficulty anyways. So I think the battle system was, I mean, there's good things about it. I mean, obviously it looked very stylish. A lot of customization you give to Clive. Like, you can do like a full magic type of build from a distance. You can do like a rush down, kind of like I was doing. You can go like full Zantetsuken and work just on building your Zantetsuken gauge. There's a lot of customization there, which I think is really nice. You also didn't really have to worry about gearing up or grinding, because most of the time, you know, I find in other Final Fantasy games, there's usually like a wall boss that stops you and makes you go like, okay, now I need to go grind. And I don't like that. And this game didn't have that, which was nice. And I didn't have to worry about going and farming for items and drops for equipment for the most part, because I was able to upgrade as I needed as I went, and I only need to worry about, you know, sword, belt, gloves, and then the 3 accessories which you are free to pick and match. So I think that was a good thing. Now, obviously, the game was built in mind, and the story was written in mind, so that you focus on one character with a very deep battle system, in this case, Clive, right, with a lot of customization. I do like it when there are options for multiple party members, though, and I know this game wasn't crafted with that in mind, but it would have been cool, I think, to be able to control Jill or Joshua or something like that. And of course, that would mean that they'd have to revamp the battle system a bit in general and the story to make that work. But I think it would have been cool, and maybe in the future, if they do Final Fantasies that are a little bit more on the action side, start, you know, building into the party thing. Because one of the things I really like about RPGs, JRPGs, is party members, right? Banter between party members. Clive was constantly shouting Torgal's name, but he barely says anything about Jill or Joshua or Byron or Gav or anyone else that's following you at the time. So I kind of wish that they had a little bit more of that. The characters were still fleshed out through the story cutscenes and the side quests, which I think was good. But it would have been nice to see a little bit more of that in combat, especially because he shouts Torgal so often. And I had the auto Torgal accessory on because I was tired of controlling him. But if I was controlling him manually, like, there's so much extra clicking you have to do. And he says Torgal like literally every 5 seconds if you do that, which becomes very quickly annoying and also very annoying for your thumb. And I know you're not supposed to be spamming Torgal that much when you're controlling him. You're kind of supposed to use him as like an assist attack. But still, it's like, damage is damage, and, you know, when I'm not doing anything, I press it. So, like, I like Torgal. I think they could have made it a bit better on that side with shouting Torgal and controlling Torgal. Maybe it would have been nice if it was like kind of like the old Final Fantasy XIV pet controls, where it's like you set him on attack mode, or you set him on defensive mode, or you set him on like assist or healing mode, and then you can switch through them as the battle goes. Or maybe even like something like Paradigms from 13, you know, Torgal, you're on debuffing duty, Torgal, you're on defensive duty now. Something that's more than just pressing buttons like quickly over and over. Now, because the game was fashioned around playing as Clive and not so much around your teammates, a lot of times your teammates, they didn't really know what to do with them. Like, I said that about Jill a lot. There were a lot of times in the story where it was like, okay, she's with you, but she's not really doing anything. And even in the cutscene, they find an excuse to put her on the backbench, right? And I understand, like, the lore is building, like, oh, she can't use her magic too much because then she gets the disease, and turn into Shiva is too much energy draining, or she needs to go protect the townsfolk, whatever. But at the end of the day, it still felt like a lot of times that she was underutilized, and like, she did have her own development and she did have her own character, and I like her, but there were times where it felt like she was placed in the game because they knew that they needed a female lead to pair with Clive. There was like a long stretch in the middle of the game where she really didn't do anything. And then at the end, you know, you have all the romance blossoming and stuff. I wish that was integrated a little bit more fluidly. And I know a lot of people don't like Jill because obviously they like Clive and they want to ship themselves with Clive, or ship Clive with other characters. Honestly, you could ship him with almost any other NPC in this game and it would work. So I think they could have done Jill a little bit better. Joshua also, like, I think they had a lot of good dynamics with him and Clive, but I still can't get over how when he first kind of joins you, you know, they hug each other and they're happy and stuff, and I know he's like injured and knocked out, but I still wish that they sat down for like a serious conversation of like, hey, I know I accidentally kind of killed you, didn't mean to do that. How do you feel about that? I wish they had like some kind of conversation about that, because it feels like they kind of brushed that off. And I kind of get it, because they both love each other and they know that Josh knows that Clive didn't do it on purpose, but I still think it would have been a nice scene. Hey Lace, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. Like besides Jill and Joshua, like I know Byron joins you for like a little short segment. Gav, you know, comes with you sometimes, but most of the time he's like, I'm coming with you, and then the second you get there, he's like, I'll meet you there. And it's like you walk like across the field and he's there. That would be a nice time to have him kind of join the party just for a little bit, just so that, you know, he's there. Have a little bit of banter, right? There's even that one side quest where you get to choose between Otto and Gav, and then later you get to choose between Jill and Tarja. Like I picked Tarja, and then she just met me there, and then we had one conversation and she left. It would have been nice if she participated in the battle, even just for one little area. It just feels more JRPG fun, I think, when you have party members coming and going, or at least a variety of them coming and going. Right? It would have been nice if we got to fight with Dion in our party for a little bit. And, you know, that one part where Dion and everyone joins you, and you literally have all your party members, and then Clive just gets separated from all of them. So it's like, okay, we had an opportunity to have some fun here, and it just didn't take shape. Hey Ferg, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for coming by. Also because, you know, Clive is your player character, the enemies only really target him. Which is fine, because, like, dodging was okay, but, you know, it would be kind of nice if the party members, you know, sometimes maybe enemies targeted them once in a while, so you could do your thing. Just, you know, that's the advantage of having a party. Anyways, it's not really a big complaint. I think they made it work. This is just what, personally, I would like to see in like, the next time they try something like this, would be to have some of that. The primal fights are really cool. The first time you do Ifrit versus Garuda was cool. It was still a little bit tutorial-y, which I understand, so it was still very cinematic. It was nice that QTEs only happen during battle. They don't throw QTEs outside of battle at you, and also they give you fair warning and fair enough time, and it's only like ever the same couple buttons, attack and dodge, so that was kind of nice. Like, Ifrit versus Typhon was also pretty cool. Ifrit versus Titan, I think, is my personal favorite fight, just because there were so many phases to it, and you also got to fight Titan as Clive before he turns into Ifrit, which is cool, and then, like, the surprise, like, falling battle at the end was completely out of nowhere that I didn't expect. The Bahamut fight was also really, really cool, but I still personally like the Titan one a little bit better, but the Bahamut one was very cool. The Odin one was disappointing. I kind of understand why they went about it that way, but like the fact that we didn't really get a real Ifrit phase there was a little bit disappointing for me. The final fight I think was okay. I'll talk more about the final fight when I break down the story, actually. But like, for all intents and purposes, I think like the most exciting battles were Titan and Bahamut, and then everything else kind of like makes like a bell curve from there. Now, story-wise, now, my opinion has changed a little bit as I played. Character-wise, I like it. It was nice having a lot of major, minor NPC side characters, like, you know, you got Martha, Quentin, Isabel, Lubor, Eloise, even Cyril to some extent. I know you kind of meet him late, so they don't get enough time for that, but they really, really developed those characters well, mostly through the side quests, which is fine. The side quests were good because they rewarded you with lore or character background, which is what I mainly want to get out of side quests. I think they did a really good job with that, because the world they've crafted here is very interesting. The whole, like, you know, bearers versus non-bearers, the whole, like, slavery aspect, the whole, like, different people have different perspectives because it is such a, like, a layered topic with many different ways to see it, maybe not a complete right or wrong type of thing. I think the side characters had a lot of depth to them. I think where the plot or the lore really falls apart, I think, is Ultima. I know it's not new for a lot of Final Fantasy games to have you at the end confront a god of some sort, but I know Final Fantasy in general, I believe, compared to other JRPG series, has been very weak in terms of antagonists, in my opinion. Yes, I know a lot of people like Sephiroth, and I don't like Sephiroth. And I like Kefka too, but let's be honest, he doesn't really have that much depth to him. Most Final Fantasy games don't really have interesting villains compared to, like, I especially look at Tales of, where almost every villain has something that's at least somewhat relatable. But most Final Fantasy villains are either very megalomaniacal, or they're just evil gods. And for Ultima, it was just very boring, having him be the orchestrator behind the events, and I know they wrote him to have like a very deadpan, unemotional voice, and he shows a little bit of emotion at the end, but that just makes it even worse, I think. Like, if he was a boring evil god, but he at least had a little bit more emotion to it, I think they might have been able to save it. I think if they made Barnabas better, they could have saved it too. Like, I don't mind fighting the big evil god at the end of the game, but maybe if the big evil god was summoned by a human that had very real, grounded human motivations, would have saved it. But Barnabas was just, at the end, a fanatical Ultima worshipping dude, and I kind of wish that he didn't. I wish that he at least had some depth in it as well. I think maybe Sylvester and Annabella had the chance to maybe have that, but then Clive doesn't really interact with them much. They only appear in cutscenes, and then they take their exit a bit earlier than I thought. So I think Ultima is definitely the weakest point of the game. Like, I think the ending was good. I think the way it leaves it, you know, it's like there's some implications at the end with that scene with the kids playing and like seeing Joshua's book and all that stuff are implications, which is kind of nice, but I still think Ultima was a very weak villain. And I think even more cemented by the fact that he is also a recurring Final Fantasy entity. You know, like Ifrit and Shiva and Bahamut and Odin and Ultima are all recurring Final Fantasy beings, right? If they still kept the same antagonist, but at least called him something different, like instead of Ultima, just given him a unique name that tied him to 16, would have made him even like a fraction more interesting. And the reason why I say that is because this game doesn't have very many FF16 specific enemies. You know, like, yes, most Final Fantasy games have recurring enemies like, again, Ifrit and Bahamut and Odin and Shiva, but they still have their unique enemies that are unique to that game. Like, when you see in Final Fantasy IV, even like the Mist Dragon and the Octomammoth are very minor bosses, but you remember them, and then when they show up in 14 as a cameo, you're like, oh yeah, these guys are from FF4. Or like the Scorpion from FF7, it's like, yeah, he's like the first boss of the game, but he's still unique to FF7, so that when he shows up in 14 as a cameo, you're like, oh, this guy's from FF7. There aren't any bosses from this game that you could throw in as a cameo and be like, oh, this boss is really specific to 16, other than like the humans, like, you know, Kupka and Barnabas. Because all the major boss fights in this game were borrowed characters. Even Typhon is a recurring character, even though he looks very different in the other Final Fantasy games. Would have been cool if they at least came up with a couple 16 specific enemies to really say, this character is from 16 and represents part of 16. I think it just would have made the game a little bit more notable in its own right, and I know that they're harkening back to the source material, which is good, but I think it'd be nice if they added on to the source material as well. Now, the battles, I think, were really nice because there was a limited enemy pool, but there were enough of them to keep it interesting. Like, even like the dragons we fought more than once. The big orc guys we fought more than once. The big like fallen giant dude enemy, the Iron Giants or whatever, you fought them more than once. They first appear as like a boss, and then they become mini bosses later on in the regular enemies. But the nice thing is it gives you a chance to really learn their attack patterns, and every time maybe they add on a couple extra attacks if they're a boss, or if they're a hunt, maybe give them 1 or 2 unique attacks, still keep you on your toes, but still have you perfect your battle system, because in an action game, you should be learning to develop your battle system as you go and how you play, and you can't do that if the enemies are just constantly changing all the time. Would I have liked a little bit more enemy variation? Maybe, but I think they had a good balance here. I'm mostly thinking about like the first God of War reboot, I feel like had very few enemies in it, and you got really good at fighting those enemies, but there were very few enemies in it, and I know in Ragnarok they add more. Or some of the Devil May Cry games have very limited number of enemies, and you get really good at fighting those same enemies because you fight them for the whole game, but very limited enemy pool. So I think this game had a nice balance of just enough enemies, variety-wise, but enough times that you fight them again to really get it going. So, like, all in all, again, even though I'm picking on all these little things, like, I still think this is the best Final Fantasy game other than 14, and I think this is the new standard that they should be following in terms of, like, the level of characterization, the level of world building, the level of fun battle system. Story, I think, is the thing they need, like, to build on a little bit more, other than the major minor NPCs, which were done really well, but build upon those overarching narratives, because I think the world here is really cool. The whole thing with the bears and the crystals has a lot of cool layered stuff to it, but it just falls apart at the end with Ultima, because, again, fighting an evil god and trying to show that humanity deserves to exist and break free of its destiny or whatever is cool and all, but it's a very high conceptual level. It's not grounded to home. Like, fighting against, you know, an antagonist that is angry for revenge, or trying to revive their loved one, or someone who has been enslaved all their life and now wants to come back at the world. Like, those are more grounded themes that would make me feel more for the antagonist, that would bring the story and elevate it. Because again, I feel like Final Fantasy's always been a little bit not so good on writing good antagonists, with a couple exceptions, right? At least that's kind of, and I like having a villain that someone can relate to. I don't necessarily need to relate to the villain, but I think that the villain needs to be relatable to someone. Yeah, I think, like, Clive's mom had the potential to become a good antagonist, but again, I don't know. I think they handled her kind of weird at the end, like how she was all very, like, smug about everything, even though she doesn't have any fighting abilities and she didn't know that her son was actually, like, a thrall of Ultima's. But yeah, like, I think that she had more potential, but it was also a little bit confusing with how they handled her. Yeah, Sleipnir also died a lot earlier than I thought. I thought he was going to be, like, again, I thought Sleipnir was going to be secretly controlling Barnabas. I thought he was going to be, like, you know, sometimes in games it's like the right-hand man is actually the one pulling the strings over the master. He gave me those vibes, and he didn't do that, and I was a little bit disappointed with that. Another thing is, like, and again, this is getting, like, to the really nitpicky things, and again, this is not something that I'm saying that the game did poorly, but I think this is something that might have elevated it a little bit more. We all know that everyone likes Clive, right? Everyone in the game and everyone outside the game really likes Clive, and with good reason. I think he's very handsome. I think it's better that they went for an older protagonist than, like, the usual, like, late teens, early 20s, especially, you know, as you get older and you look back at games, you're like, yeah, there's no way a teenager could be a real protagonist of a world-saving adventure, let's be honest. Not emotionally mature enough. So I think, like, his design was really good. Obviously, the battle and the gameplay was good. The voice acting was good for Clive. He has a lot of really good traits. He's chivalrous, he's selfless, he's brave, he, like, thinks about other people, he's gentle at times, which are all really good character traits. But these are, I don't want to use the word generic, but these are traits that are usually attributed to most main characters of franchises, whether it be a movie or a game or an anime. So I don't think that really makes him special. I think they did a good job in showing that. I think they did a good job in showing that he was all these things. It really made you feel for it. What I'm trying to say is, I think in my mind, Clive would have been a little bit more memorable if they added just a few little extra, not to say quirks, but just interesting personality traits. I know they talk about how he's a bad liar, and that only comes up, like, twice. Not to say that they should beat it into the ground. And they also show that he, as a kid, he liked theater and reading, which I think was sweet when he reunited with Byron. But again, that only comes up a couple times, and then it's, like, referenced at the end there. But it would have been nice if we just got a couple, like, random little personality traits about him to make him a little bit memorable. Like, tell me that he hates tomatoes, or that he's afraid of spiders, or he's really good at woodworking, or that he, like enjoys, I don't know, like, random hobbies like origami or something like that. Like, I don't know, it would have been fun if they just gave him a couple, like, notable traits that are just kind of out there, just to kind of make him, like, more unique as a character. And I know maybe it's just they want to keep it grounded and they don't want too much extra humor in this game because it's, like, a serious setting, but I think it would have elevated his character if they just added a couple extra little memorable quirks that just set him apart from the average protagonist. That being said, I still like Clive. I still think he's a really cool character. I still think they did a good job in showing off all his positive traits of being brave and chivalrous and selfless and all that stuff. So it's not really a complaint so much as it is a, I wish to see this in the future when they write characters. Because if we keep writing more Final Fantasies with great protagonists that have all these traits but nothing else, we're just going to get a bunch of extra Clives. And it'd be nice if they set themselves apart. At least a little bit somehow. But that's going into like the really nitpicky stuff. Not saying that they have to do that. Just a little thing that I think would make it a little bit, you know, spice it up. Or I don't know, tell me that he can't swim and give me like a like a Yuri Angers section where he confronts that or something like that. I don't know. He did have character development throughout the game, but it wasn't as like as big of a big character development as some other protagonists from other franchises, which is fine. Not every protagonist needs a giant heel turn. Clive's hobby is Torgal, push-ups. Yeah, I don't know, like just show us like little like scenes of him just doing stuff for fun on his own, for a little hobby or something like that. Torgal and titties his own. Yeah, but like design-wise, I think they did a really good job with the design. I'm a big fan of like a character can look sexy but still mostly covered up without showing like their entire bare chest or like wearing bikini armor, right? Like a character can be sexy with showing just, you know, the titty window of his chest, right? It's enough. And the way his design is made makes him look bulkier than he is because his little like armor and cape thing gives him very broad shoulders. That gives him a nice silhouette, and also like the way they rendered his shirt on his chest makes him like have that like V shape with like the very thinner, well not very thin, like thinner waist compared to like his broad shoulders and stuff. Gives him a nice like silhouette. I also like his like half cape and the way that his sword sheaths is pretty cool actually. I'm a big fan of like half capes and stuff like that too. And I also just like red color scheme for main characters along with other colors, of course. I also like young Clive's design actually too. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all my thoughts of the game. Great battle system, great side characters, great world building, great character design. Oh yeah, great music. Of course, we know Soken always kills it with the music, especially during the battles. I think maybe some of the music in the field areas or the towns was a little bit not as memorable, but that's okay. The battle music was really, really good. The cutscene music was really, really good. Only places where I think it falls apart is certain characters, the way they handle them, like Jill, like the way they do the party members, which again works fine for what they did here. If it was just a regular action game, I could totally get that. They want to build up a good action system with one character that has a lot of customization for his moveset instead of having a bunch of other characters in your party, which I can respect, but I personally like having multiple party members. Places where it falls apart, Ultima is a boring antagonist, I think, which really, you know, makes it feel like the story, not to say fell apart at the end, but it just wasn't as interesting closer to the end, because it was like, oh yeah, we're stopping the Dark God. Not really many plot twists there. Most of the characters that died had death flags coming from a mile away, except for that side quest that caught us off guard, which was a very good side quest as well, and I don't regret doing it despite that. And having more unique FF16 specific enemies, I think, would have been advantageous to them as well. And I also think like almost everyone in the game uses swords. I mean, Dion has a lance, and then a couple of side characters like Byron have axes. Not to say everyone needs like a nutty, strange weapon that's like out there, but I think it would have been more interesting just to have a little bit more variety. But again, they are sticking to like the medieval kind of thing, which is fine, which I think is a good step. I think less sci-fi in Final Fantasy is a good thing, especially when half the time it's like the evil empire is the one with all the technology, which kind of makes it a little bit, you know. I'm glad that Waloed was not just the evil Garleans in this game. So yeah, going forward, I'm probably going to stream this game for at least 2 more streams. I'm going to do one stream where I find all the hunt marks and get them. and I'm gonna do a stream where I do all the Chronolith trials. Unfortunately, I already looked ahead. This game does not have a real super boss, which I think is a little disappointing. But I guess they put so much energy and effort into like the actual game fights that I can see why they didn't. But it would have been a nice treat to have a cool super boss at the end. But I can understand why they didn't do that. And Chronolith Trials in arcade mode I think is cool. Not really my thing, but I do want that last thing for the Hall of Memories as well. New Game Plus, of course, if you want to play this game again, there is a higher difficulty level, there is a higher level cap, so there's still replayability in this game, but personally, when I finish a JRPG, I like it if they have at least one extra optional dungeon plus the super boss, and this game doesn't have that, which is a little unfortunate. This game doesn't really have dungeons. I mean, it does, but not dungeons in the conventional sense, which I kind of miss, but I understand why, because most of the time, when you go and destroy the Mother Crystal in that area, the whole place blows up, so you can't really get back in there. There is the stage replay, which I think is cool. And they did confirm that this game is not going to have any DLC, which I completely respect, because I honestly don't like it when games are created with DLC already in mind. I understand sometimes if deadlines are tight, and when they're like... I know when the deadlines are tight and they're like, oh, we can't finish this, so we need to add things on DLC, but I don't like it when the DLC is made to, like, clean it up as well, because I don't think we really need that as well. It is weird that Leviathan's not in the game. I think it would be cool if they had Leviathan in the game, but yeah. I know for sure that there was an interview at Yoshi P, and they said that they wanted this game to be a complete package when you get it, and that's why they were saying that at the time there were no plans for DLC. That's why they weren't talking about it before. I don't know if they've changed their outlook going forth. That might have been the case, but at least at the time it's not like I'm specifically looking at FF15 where it was like they knew they weren't going to finish it and they knew the DLC was going to try to wrap up the story points and add more. The game was made with the intention of doing that, so I'm glad that this game didn't, because again, I don't like it when nowadays in the gaming space, it's like, let's ship out these games that are incomplete and we'll just patch it up later as people go, or add DLC to add it on later. I don't like that attitude. I should be getting like a complete product when I get the game. So personally, as much as I would like to see more for this game, I'm glad they outright said that they did not plan for DLC at the onset, and I hope we actually don't see DLC for this game, because I think it's a nice package as it is. Would I like to see Leviathan? Sure. Would I like to see extra missions on the side and play as other characters? Sure. But I think that as it is, I think this package is pretty well rounded in total. Oops, I dropped my controller. Ugh. Now, I'm even gonna check this again. Okay, so here, so remember, this game came out in June. Prior to the game coming out, they said no DLC. It looks like here, mid-July, they said that they are reconsidering it. So let's see what they say. So they said they're looking for options for how to address fans' demand for more content. So earlier this year, they said there wasn't any existing plans for DLC because they wanted a complete package and they also didn't know what the future of the series looked like. So it looks like all the support they got means it's back on the table, which I respect, again. I guess what I'm still happy about, though, is that the DLC sounds like it won't be trying to shore up, you know, holes in the game like games where they plan for the DLC ahead of time. So I think, you know, if we see more DLC for this game, I wouldn't mind. I'd still play it. But it's not at the top of my list for things. Because again, I think this is a pretty complete package. Maybe it would be cool to have a super boss, or maybe it would be cool to put Leviathan in. Who knows? Who knows? If they do just as good of a job on that DLC as they do on the main game, I can't really complain. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll still be streaming this game more in the future. I might take a little bit of a break from it, because there's other games we need to play too. I need to finish Umineko Episode 8, and we also need to get going on Spider-Man 1, which I've played before, but I did not stream it because Spider-Man 2 is coming out at near the end of October, and so that's when I want to kind of finish all the previous Insomniac Spider-Man games before that one comes out. And I also want to spend October doing like spooky games as well. If I have time, I'll also do Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward, which I've been meaning to do for a while. But, you know, that might be saved for later, depending on our schedule. I have any theories about the ending? Well, I think the ending actually does I think I like endings that are a little bit vague and stand on their own and could be seen in a few different things. I think the fact that, you know, they talk about how icons are just a fairy tale, and then you see the book with Joshua's name on it, and then you see them running around, they name their dog Bahamut, leaves a lot of interesting implications as well. And so I'd rather actually just leave it, and I want people to formulate their own thoughts on it. I think the best endings are best left in that sort of way. So I invite you to feel free to interpret that as you will, but I think it was a good way to wrap up the game. And again, you know, we saw the heroic sacrifices by Dion and Joshua and Clive at the end, but then we see that message of hope at the end, and the implication that, you know, they said that if they need to pen the book about what happened at the time, that they would need someone who had a first-hand account. I think, especially because we did that side quest and they specifically say that, kind of lends itself to a little bit more. I also read ahead of time that the ending doesn't change if you've done more side quests. Someone told me that the ending changes if you do all the side quests, and then I read again that that is not the case. That is 100% not the case. I think I might have said that in a previous stream, so I just want to correct myself and make sure that's out there. Hey, Kiro from the future here. A little bit of time has passed since I beat the game, and I thought I'd add on a little bit of extra commentary towards this video, just because I came across a couple interesting things. Now on stream, I did say that I like how the ending can be left a little bit open to interpretation, in terms of the symbolism and in terms of what you think the post-credit scenes really mean, and I still stand by that. I think it's good to, you know, develop critical thinking and have people come to a conclusion for themselves. I did see that online people seem to be a bit divided, which is kind of interesting to note, specifically about whether or not Clive survives or not. I also said on stream that the ending, I was told the ending changes depending on whether you've done the side quests, and then later realized that that is not the case. The cutscenes remain the same regardless of whether you do the side quests or not. But upon further conversation, I realize now that the person that told me that originally meant that the way that you interpret the ending could change depending on the context you get from doing the side quests, specifically with Jill and Joshua's side quest and Harpocrates' side quest. So I'm just going to shed some light on that here, since it might not be immediately obvious to everyone. So the main debate here is whether or not Clive survives or not. And I guess in some ways you can kind of decide for yourself based on what ending you think would make for a better ending. Now at the end, or like during Jill's quest, she talks about how she wishes for Clive to come back. She wishes for him to stop self-sacrificing himself for the sake of others and think of how other people would want him to survive for once. And that she's going to wish on the star, which is the red star, the Metia star. She wishes on it to give Clive a chance to safely come home. So at the end of the game, when she sees that the star's gone out, she runs out crying because she thinks this means that Clive has died. So she goes out, she starts crying with Torgal. It's also important to note that during her side quest, she mentions that she doesn't mind the night because she knows that when dawn breaks, the sun will always come back out. So when the sun comes back out, it's almost like she sees something that makes her look up as she starts to smile. So it's almost like she's gotten through the night, the sun comes out, and then there's like a beacon of hope. So some people think this means that she sees Clive coming along in the horizon, presumably in some kind of boat, and that he's returned to the hideaway. So you could interpret the fact that the red star went out not as Clive dying, but as granting Jill her wish to bring him back safely. Now, we do see Clive at the end lying on the beach, but at least that indicates that he didn't die from Origin falling apart, but his hand starts to turn gray from the curse. But we only see his hand turn gray, and like I completely forgot about this, but earlier in the game we saw that Sid actually has a gray hand underneath his glove. So it doesn't necessarily mean the curse has taken over Clive's whole body. You could interpret it that way, or you could interpret the fact that he could survive with just a gray hand, which is totally possible. In the post-credit scene, we see those kids running around and, you know, their mother, who has a resemblance, the mother has a resemblance to Jill, and the kids have resemblances to Clive and Joshua, so you could think that they could be their descendants, and they're talking about how icons are now a myth, and then they show the book that is penned by Joshua Rossfield. And the context from this comes from Arpocrates' quest, where at the end he gives Clive a quill, and he says, I want you to tell the story of what happens at Origin, because we're going to need a first-hand account if we're going to be able to tell the story of what it is. And so the fact that we get the book at the end could mean that Clive survived and was able to pen his memories of what happened at Origin, and presumably pen it under his brother's name in honor of him, kind of like how Clive took up the mantle of Sid. Now, whether Joshua survives or not could also be left to your interpretation, because, you know, Clive looks like he's trying to revive him with the Phoenix. And although Joshua says it's not possible, right, you kind of never know. So I think it's kind of nice because the ending could lead you to decide for yourself whether you want like an optimistic ending or more of like a heroic sacrifice ending as well. It is kind of interesting though that we never see Leviathan, just because presumably Ultima needs all 8 elements to complete himself, but he never seems to address Leviathan, who apparently has been lost to time. Someone mentioned it'd be funny if Ultima just like suddenly, because at the end, like when they're fighting, Ultima keeps pulling out different icons and attacking Clive with them. It'd be funny if he like suddenly pulled out Leviathan, and then Clive was like, I don't have that power to counter you. I didn't catch that Pokemon, which I thought was kind of funny. Another thing that I didn't mention on stream that I mentioned it in previous streams was I still feel like Yote was underused. The fact that she was helping Joshua the whole time, and then when you join up with Joshua, she kind of disappears and becomes part of the hideaway, but she only gets one side quest as well. It would be nice, I think, if Yote got more than one side quest, and maybe even got like a Hall of Memories item as well. I just feel like she was underutilized because it felt like she was going to play a bigger role in the story. Another kind of aside that I thought was interesting is that we never saw Marley again. She was the lady at the Iron Kingdom that took care of Jill when Jill was captive, and we saw her survive after we destroyed the Mother Crystal, but we never saw her again. I thought that'd be a good opportunity to have her involved in a side quest and develop Jill more towards that, but the fact they didn't do that is their decision, so whatever. But I just thought it was worth mentioning because it sounded like she would have a little bit more importance, but we really only saw her that one time. Anyways, those are my closing thoughts on the ending, and thank you so much for listening. We've done a lot of talking. I didn't think I'd be talking for this long after the game, especially after those credits were so long. But I'm very glad I played this game, and I'm very glad that even though I played it almost 2 months late, that I didn't have too much backseating and spoilery people in the chat. I think it's inevitable when you play a game that's kind of bigger and has a lot of devoted fans coming in. I know we saw people coming in and spoiling and backseating things for Octopath and Xenoblade, and even Raincoat a little bit had that, even though I played that fresh out of the oven. But I'm glad that for the most part my experience for this game was untouched, and even though I saw fan art for the game coming up to between the release and between playing it, you know, I'm glad that I didn't really have any of that spoiled, at least anyways. And it's like, it's not even people coming in and like directly spoiling things. It's like people that are coming in and they're excited. They've played through the game, they've seen through the game, and they want to talk about it. And then so they really want to talk about things, and sometimes they say things that are a little bit premature for when the spoiler is. Or they say things that they don't realize could be taken as spoilers, or non-confirmations of other things that could be spoilers, for example. So I know people don't do it intentionally. I know people do it with the, you know, they don't intend to do it. It's just they're excited about the game. So I can't completely fault them on that, but it is a risk I take when I stream games. Or people, like, they don't think something is backseating, but it kind of could be. Like when they try to drop hints in the chat for things, but, you know, I'm not really always looking for hints, especially when I want to figure things out myself. You know, that always seems to kind of happen. But I think, you know, the more I stream, the more I kind of get used to it, and the more I get used to, you know, trying to filter out between, you know, getting mad about it and trying to, like, come from a place of more forgiveness and understanding that people are just kind of, you know. But I think 2023 has been such a great year for new games, especially, or new and old games that we streamed on the channel. Like Octopath 1 and 2 were really, really great. We did Ghost Trick, which was really, really great. FF16 was really, really fun. Resident Evil 4 was really, really fun. So we've done a lot of really good games this year. I think the only flop was Rain Code, really, which I've talked to death about it, so I'm not gonna keep talking about it until we do the DLC for that game. But I think that was the only one that really flopped for me. And I know a lot of people like it, which is fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but me personally, I think that was the only, like, game I've streamed this year that I kind of disliked. Which is pretty good for a whole year of playing all these different games on stream. But we still have a lot of, well, not a lot of year to go, but like 4 months left to go. So I'm excited to see where that takes us. Okay. I've talked enough. Thank you everyone for coming by, and thank you so much for sticking around and listening to me talk and watching me play the game and giving your thoughts as well. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to check out other games I've played, also, they're all on my YouTube channel. The FF16 series is being uploaded now daily as we speak, or all the VODs are still up on Twitch if you want to go back and check some of those out. I've played over 60 games now. We're still getting our numbers up, which is really awesome. Let's have a look and see who we're going to raid. Looks like a lot of people are streaming now. So, it looks like Forte's playing Darkest Dungeon. Oh wait, is he wrapping up? Oh my gosh, he's wrapping up. Okay, let's find someone else to stream. Okay, Amai's doing art, okay? Let's, well, okay, I told him he's not gonna raid us, okay? We're gonna raid Amai, she's doing art. Thank you again, guys. I'll see you next time. I think I'll probably do some Umaneko later this week before we dive back into 16 to do hunts and chronolith trials. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.